of misfits. We're a couple of misfits. What's the matter with misfits? That's where we fit in. We're not Duffy and Dilly. Don't go around willy-nilly.
Hello, fellow Asgardians, and welcome back to the Multiverse Fan Cast Special Thor Edition. That's right, this week we're covering Thor Love and Thunder. And if you want to hear more about us, don't forget you can take us on the go with Podbeam, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, or any other listening stations. On social media, you can find us on Facebook of most of any with the Misfit Faction Media Network, with Cinematic Adventures, with the Multiverse Fan Cast, with MF Uncensored. On Instagram, you can find us at Bibliophiles Assemble and Misfit Faction. And on the TikTok and Twitter, you can find us at Misfit Faction. You can also check us out on all of our content on the website, themisfitfaction.com, where you can listen to all of our past shows, our other sister shows. You can read some nice articles from yours truly and from Paul too. And on my left, we have the very able, capable, and handsome Paul. How are you today, Paul?
I'm doing well, Rob. Thank you for asking. How are you today?
I am awesome. And on my right is the exceptionally capable and even more wonderful Ronnie. How are you today, Ronnie?
I'm doing fantastic. You're making me blush over here.
You ready? I'm gonna ruin Rob's day. This is also an episode of Cinematic Adventures, and I didn't tell him that.
Yeah, no, you did say that.
Oh, okay,
and I
thank
knew
God.
that was coming. Yes, and we are also covering for Cinematic Adventures. Sean is usually with us, but Sean did come and see the movie with us, and he did give us a Star City rating, which we will share later on in the broadcast.
Will we?
But yes, well, he texted it to us, so Ronnie will share it with us. But he could not be here today because he has a life, unlike the three of us. So first off, before we get into...
We're all married.
Yeah, he's still in the dating realm, so he's got more free time. So to start off our podcast today, though, we're going to go over to Ronnie, who's got some news. Ronnie, take us through the news today.
We're done.
All right.
All right. Now, starting things off, we have some, I guess, casting news, you can say. It's been confirmed Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio are returning in Echo. So they're going to be doing, obviously, their roles of Daredevil well as Kingpin. So
it's nice that they're starting to fold a lot of the Netflix shows more so into the MCU. It wasn't just a one-off. So.
And now they're all those shows on Disney Plus?
They are, but they're not officially canon.
Yeah. They're just putting them on there.
Yeah,
right
like they were, and then they said they weren't canon, and now they're starting to reintegrate them.
I guess they kind of have to be canon if you got Charlie Cox making cameos all over the place.
So
I mean, Kingpin was in the movie.
Yeah.
Or in Hawkeye.
He was in Hawkeye.
Yeah.
So
you would think it's gotta be.
Well, apparently, so it's funny you guys say that. Superman and Lois just had its season finale. And in the season finale, they established that was not part of the Arrowverse, that it was actually its own Earth. And everybody was like, well, what the hell? Like, you had Diggle in it. So there's very confusing.
All right.
Interesting. But yeah, so that's pretty much our first bit of news. Second bit of news, we have Paper Girls got a full trailer out there. And you know what this reminds me of?
What?
It's almost like Umbrella Academy meets Stranger Things.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
right?
It does seem like that. I don't know how familiar you guys are with it. I've read the comics. It's Brian K. Vaughan, who also does Saga and a couple others. It's sort of like, and they actually have said that they want Stranger Things fans to sort of read and watch this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about 4 12-year-old paper girls from 1988 who have there's time traveling and there's intergalactic stuff and there's wormholes and everything. And it's a fun comic. I don't know how well it'll translate to Amazon, but that's coming out at the end of the month. All right. Very cool.
Yeah.
What else you got for us, Ronnie?
I was going to see if Paul wanted anything to add on about Paper Girls over there.
Look like he did.
I'm more of a Paperboy kind of fan from the Nintendo.
Yeah, I love that game. On the Game Boy, just playing it.
It was tough.
I used to play it in the arcade because they had the actual handlebars from the...
But moving on with our news, next little bit is Death Note is being given a second chance on Netflix with the Duffer Brothers.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Death Note, we like to throw a little thing in there for you anime fans. So if you're an anime fan, you absolutely know what Death Note is. Also, Death Note was a cartoon from back in 2006, I think it was. And then Netflix tried it, and it didn't work. I think Willem Dafoe was in it.
Yeah, he voiced the demon.
Yeah. And I didn't even bother watching. I'm a big fan of the comics and the movies, and they're fantastic. It's some of the best anime that's out there. And I heard the movie was terrible, so I didn't even bother. So it's nice to know that someone is with capable abilities is going to tackle it.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Another bit of kind of casting news is Daniel Kaluuya.
All right,
Maybe.
we practiced
Nailed
that.
it.
Will not be in Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Like he won't be in it forever, or like he won't be in it at all?
He won't be in the movie that's coming out.
Oh, it's called Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
you know that movie we know nothing about.
Yeah, other than who's in it and who's apparently not in it. I'm okay with it. I feel like his character didn't really have anything, integral into, the Black Panther
Right.
movie anyway.
Well, the only thing he brings to the table with it is an Academy Award.
Yeah.
So
Well, yes, but not
that's a big
from
thing.
that.
Not from that.
Jared
Yes.
Leto has an Academy Award. Doesn't really mean much. Suicide Squad has an Academy Award.
They give those things to everybody.
It's Morbin time.
But we also have another little bit of news, because we'll be talking about whistling a little bit later on in the show. We have Marvel visual effects artists are whistleblowing about poor working conditions. So
Yeah, have you heard anything about this at all? Yeah, Paul's nodding.
Yeah, apparently because Marvel movies and TV are in such a production rush, and I can only imagine it's gotten crazier since COVID actually ended, with everything
Right.
getting put back,
Yeah.
dialing up to an 11. So I guess there's been some behind the scenes complaints from the crew working on some of these projects that they're being unrealistic with their expectations, and they're really pushing a little too hard.
Yeah.
Video games were famous for it.
Yeah.
Like video game companies left and right, the employees were quitting and filing suit and all that stuff. It's not the first time that Marvel Studios has been, I don't want to say accused because that's a really strong word, but
Under fire?
there have been discussions about the working
there have
conditions.
been allegations.
Not even that, because no legal action's ever been
No.
brought up.
Oh, yeah.
Joss Whedon famously he stated that like he doesn't want to work with Marvel anymore just because they are so strict with some of their requirements and expectations. But this is the first time we're hearing anything from a production level about it, so it's interesting.
My understanding is that this stemmed from a subreddit thread
Yeah.
where there's a lot of people just saying, I'm quitting Marvel. I can't take this anymore. I've worked on 3 projects. I don't want to do this. It's unrealistic.
Yeah.
I don't get any sleep. So I'm hoping Kevin Feige makes a statement at some point to address their needs and actually make some changes to help them out
Yeah.
a little bit. All right. Anything else?
We have a little bit of news to round it off because it goes hand in hand with what we're going to be discussing today, which is obviously Thor: Love and Thunder. So to kind of kick things off, I guess the last bit of news is the box office for Thor to this date, which is July 15th. So it's been out for a week. It has done so far $402 million. That's domestic and international.
On a budget of $250 million.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So it's already made over $150 million.
I'd say with advertising, probably about $100 million, which
Yeah.
is nothing
Yeah.
to scoff at.
No. So, it's been a hit, at least at the box office. There are predictions that it will keep its number one spot this weekend, but it's going to be dropping, I would say, an average percentage. They're saying like 65%, which is around average, or I would say.
Yeah, it's a little higher. I think some of the word of mouth is not fantastic. I mean, it's not poisonous the way it was with like the Eternals or even Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but it's not as great a momentum as they were hoping. But it's still good. I mean, the film is definitely in the black in terms of their grosses.
Oh, yeah. It's going to do well. It's going to make money, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have some sort of another Thor movie or some sort of spin-off type of thing with it. But that kind of wraps us up for the news for today.
Very cool. Thank you, Ronnie.
Great job.
So let's give before we go to break, let's give our listeners a taste. In 3 words or less, give me a reaction about Thor: Love and Thunder. 3 words or less.
Good movie.
All right, that's 2. That's so specific. I think that was 1 word. All right.
That was a screaming goat reaction.
Very good.
Why 3 words or less? That's so limiting.
I know. Well, I'm keeping you on your toes.
My real 3 word.
All right, go ahead.
3 words. It's
Love and Thunder.
Mighty Thor.
Okay, good.
only 2.
Paul's counting.
Yeah, 3 or less. That's 2.
Yeah,
That's
3.
less than 3. I know.
Paul?
I
numbers.
said
movie?
good movie.
I'm gonna say awesomeness, but
That's your 3 words.
awesomeness, but predictable.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. With that, we hope to see you back after the break, where we're going to get into some full spoilerish details about Thor: Love and Thunder. But first, a quick break.
Today's episode is brought to you by Raise Energy Drinks from Rep Sports. Whether you're trying to crush your afternoon workout or just need a little extra pick-me-up, Raise Energy is just the boost that you're going to need. So if you go to repsports.com and any product that you order, enter the code MISFIT89 at checkout to receive 15% off. Anything that you guys buy from that store helps our network grow, and we fully appreciate everything you guys do. That's MISFIT89 at checkout, repsports.com.
Welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us again. We are talking Thor, Love and Thunder. Full spoilers now from here on out. This is Taika Waititi's film, which is a story by Taika Waititi, which I think you know by now, if you've been listening to us or know anything about us, or have even met the casual Marvel fan, that you know Taika Waititi has created one of the best movies in the Marvel universe, and that is Ragnarok. Does this hold up? Does it hold a candle to it? That's what we're going to find out. So let's hear some initial reactions first.
Non-spoiler reactions.
Yeah, let's go non-spoiler reactions first. Paul, you want to give it a shot?
The bar was really high, and this movie comes very close to the bar, but doesn't quite get to it. It's got a lot of good. If you're a fan of Ragnarok, you're going to enjoy this movie, but this movie is not better than Thor Ragnarok. Just like how Civil War is a great Captain America movie, but it's not better than Winter Soldier.
Correct.
In that vein. For me anyway. I mean, if somebody says that they like this movie better than Ragnarok, cool. More power to you.
I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody like that.
Yeah.
Those are mine.
Ronnie?
I kind of agree. I think we all had high expectations for this movie after what we saw with Ragnarok, and it didn't meet it, but not necessarily in such a negative way. I think there were some things that might have been a little bit better than Ragnarok that were done, but overall, like Paul said, Ragnarok is definitely number one. Obviously when it comes to the Thor movies, it's number one, but this is definitely a continued step in the right direction, even though it's a step back necessarily, I guess you would say, because it's not better than Ragnarok, but it's still going on that progression where it's okay movie, meh movie, really, really good movie, solid good movie. So
I think I'm going to agree with both of you on this. I think we're all on the same page with this, that I went in with low expectations because I didn't want to be like, oh my gosh, it's the guy who did Ragnarok. It's going to be awesome. I'm like, no, don't. That's the wrong mentality. Just go in accepting it for what it is. I also knew that it was sitting at, I think, 67% on Rotten Tomatoes too, which is, there's some Marvel fatigue that's settling in for a lot of people.
I just kind of missed the Hulk in this one.
Yeah,
I think that was a big thing for me in Ragnarok.
Okay, so let's go around. Let's talk about that now. Let's get a little bit more spoilish. Now that we've all said this, what was this missing for you? So for you, it was the Hulk,
Lena Headey, Jeff Goldblum, and Peter Dinklage also.
Yeah, well, they're on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, apparently Lena Headey is in a little bit of financial trouble because of it.
Who was she playing?
I don't know. It doesn't say who she was, but so apparently she was supposed to be in this film, and her casting agency or something along those lines said that they owe her money for this film, even though she's not in it. Like, it's a whole big thing. You can look it up, but I don't know who she was supposed to be. But I think they could have had a lot. Imagine if she was his wife from 300.
That'd be funny.
That would actually be really funny. But
here's the thing: we were talking about this in the theater, that they gave Simon Russell Beale a big credit in the credits. I don't think he had any lines, so I wonder if there's something there that they completely cut out.
I feel like there's a lot missing from this movie. I would have much rather watched a movie of them at the God Coliseum for an extra, or even just an extra 15-20 minutes of that, just because I was like, look at this is. It's so weird because we've talked about it ad nauseum on some of our other shows. We talked about it on Miss Marvel. We talked about it for Moon Knight, that the idea of gods in the Marvel universe is still constantly changing, not evolving, just changing. And they're going steps forward, step backwards, step forward, step backwards. To the point where the Celestials that were there were hiding in the backgrounds because everybody's hated Eternals so much.
Yeah.
I gotta say that I'm looking up to see what she was supposed to be in.
I don't think they've actually said.
I don't think they've ever said.
I wonder if she was supposed to be what's Zeus's wife?
Hera.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
I do know that there is a 4-hour cut that existed first of this movie before Taika Waititi cut it down significantly.
Which, didn't he come out and, sorry to cut you off, didn't he come out and say he hates director's cuts?
I think he did say something like that.
Didn't he say something like that recently?
So I there's
Speaking of director's cuts, and because this is also an episode of Cinematic Adventures,
yes.
not just who'd win in a fight, because that's our thing on Cinematic Adventures. We always say who'd win in a fight.
Taika Waititi.
No. Zeus from this movie or Zeus from Zack Snyder's Justice League?
Zack Snyder's Justice
I don't
League.
remember Zeus in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah, he's like 6 feet,
Yeah.
like pure muscle, like shooting
Yep.
lightning
Wow.
bolts.
Is he? So you're saying he's fighting Russell Crowe?
Yeah,
I think that's your answer right there. It's Russell Crowe.
I don't know. This Russell Crowe's Zeus, I want to see what he would have been like at his peak. Because for those of you guys,
he's got a dad bod. in
I
this.
really
Yeah,
wish,
absolutely.
I really wish producer Mel was here for this because she is huge on Greek mythology and just mythology in general, and that's why I wanted to see more of this aspect of the Marvel universe. And also some excuse as to why the gods don't get involved, because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
also, again, another thing that they totally
Which he says.
Well, this is
they vaguely mention
Yeah,
it.
he says everyone takes care of their own people.
But
so.
nobody's doing nothing. Like
The gods?
were they dusted away by Thanos?
Yeah.
Are they actual?
Well, no, because they're safe. He said we're safe here.
Not, they didn't say anything about Thanos.
He indicated sort of a safe from everything kind of.
Again, these are all questions that we
Yeah.
don't have answers to. And now they
in
also
Thor.
established that there is an afterlife in
Yeah.
Marvel,
Yeah,
even though in this
Valhalla.
movie they specifically said that there is no afterlife, and it's very confusing. I
Well,
need
it's
some
only for
rules.
Vikings.
I need some rules,
You
man.
have to die in battle.
In battle, yes.
Yeah, on
You
the
can't
ride.
die from battle. You have to die in battle, which is a gripe of mine.
On the ride home with my wife, with Lauren, who saw the movie with us, and Timmy too, of course. Yeah, Lauren said, I said, what did you think of it? And she said, I have to see it again because it was different. I didn't expect them to introduce so much Greek mythology. So she says, I need to see it again and think about it through that lens.
And a dumpling god.
And she said there's a ton, she's good with her Greek mythology
Yeah.
too. I'm sure she and Mel could probably have a great conversation. We'd sit there dumbly.
Actually, I'm
Oh, you're not
fairly.
so bad?
I do love my mythology.
All right. But yeah, there was a lot. So you feel, so that's what you were missing. So what did you feel you were missing from it?
I felt like we were missing the Guardians of the Galaxy.
More of them?
They were in it for 2 minutes, and
We
I
saw all their scenes in the trailer.
yeah. Like that was the thing. Like I thought with what was in the trailer, I thought we would have seen a lot more of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what we did have of them, loved it. You know, don't get me wrong, I loved it, but I would have loved to have seen a little bit more with them, even if it was like, I don't even know, just later on in the movie, you know, like when he's like, oh, let me get some help.
Yeah.
You're buddies with all these people that can help. I mean, can they really fight a god? I mean, they fought Thanos and they did a good job.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, fighting a god, yeah, it's a little bit different. I mean, they fought Ego.
What was missing most for me was Loki. Loki was such a big part of
He was
What
in
are you
it.
talking about? Matt Damon was in this.
Fourth time that Matt Damon has played a Loki.
Yeah.
4?
4
I
times.
can, what are the other 2?
Dogma. His character was named
right,
Loki.
Yeah.
Then he played him in Thor Ragnarok.
Right.
Yeah.
Then he played him in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Oh, I didn't
And
see
even
that.
makes
Okay.
fun of
Does he?
the new
Yeah.
Loki.
Oh, Matt Damon's
And
funny.
this is his 4th time. I like Matt Damon.
Yeah.
I really wish
Yeah.
we had seen that play.
I know.
Yeah.
I miss Tom Hiddleston. He was such an important foil in Ragnarok for me that he made so much wonderful. So, all right. So that's the negative. But now let's reverse that. What's one thing that was in this film that you thought was especially effective more than anything? I'll even go first on this one.
Go first on this one.
Montages as storytelling vehicles. Like I thought Waititi was able to give us a lot of information in a very brief, because I think I can think of 3 montages that he had in there.
Yeah.
One, and each of them had Korg telling a story to someone
Yes.
about this is what happened. And it spared us all the time of having to actually see all that happen.
Yeah.
And it gave us all the important notes. And I thought that was neat to be able to do that in such a short amount of time, because the movie is not long. It's under, is it under 2 hours?
Just about,
Just
yeah.
about.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
think
think
it
it
was
is.
like 155.
Yeah, it is 158 according to IMDb, which is rare for a Marvel movie. And so there were a lot of times in the movie when things were happening, I'm like, we don't have time for this. Come on, go quicker.
Yeah.
And then they would do the montages, and it's like, all this information. Thank goodness I have that. So
Yeah.
what was added that was great for you?
I think all the fun little cameo type of people that we had in this, I thought was great. Like, it wasn't anything like fan service, you know, just get them in just to get them in. You know, you had Kat Dennings, Stellan Skarsgård.
I immediately thought of you as soon as Kat Dennings
Yeah.
came on. I'm like, oh, Paul must be so happy right now.
Melissa McCarthy.
That was funny.
And her husband, as the stage
yep.
manager, was in
Ben
it.
Falcone.
Yeah. Daryl.
Daryl was
You
the
were
best.
so excited.
I was so excited to see Daryl in there.
And then for me, I was Brett Goldstein from Ted Lasso. I love Ted Lasso, and to see him come into this
As Hercules.
is great. I'm hoping to see
And
more
he
of him
looks,
'cause I love him.
He looks accurate as Hercules. Like,
Yeah,
very comic book
Yeah, very
accurate.
comic accurate. I was
Yeah.
impressed.
So I think to me that might be a top, a good thing about this movie was getting all these faces that we have seen before and new faces, like I said, with
Right.
Melissa McCarthy in it. I think was great.
Paul?
Gorr was terrifying.
Yeah.
We have not had such a scary, visually, just character-wise, just a very creepy, scary villain. Like, he made it work. Like, everything bad about Malekith, the Dark Elf, was much, like, same kind of vibe, just like that darkness vibe, but Gorr was scary.
I got sort of a Ronan the Accuser vibe, but better.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
1000%.
All right, so now that we've talked about that, let's real quick for those who haven't seen it. Paul, since you seem to have a good handle on this, tell us, what's this movie about?
Thor's midlife crisis.
Okay. I like that.
But instead of buying a motorcycle,
But this is also, it's also my gripe with this film.
He gets a boat.
yeah.
Yeah, basically. I would much rather watch the stories of Thor, the space Viking, just traveling around, just I feel like we took a lot of steps backwards for Thor.
Okay.
And that's the problem with a character like Thor, where he goes through great character progression and then he gets put into an Avengers movie and then he goes backwards. Because it's different directors, different storytelling, different this, filmed different times. Like, I feel like Thor Ragnarok Thor was very different when you get to Infinity War than obviously Endgame, and then he gets better, but he's still searching for purpose. Like, I feel I just, it's very strange.
Yeah.
Okay.
But really, this is Thor's midlife crisis.
All right.
What is he here for?
All right. Ronnie, take us through the plot line of this. What are the events here?
Didn't he just do that?
He gave us the overall story.
Basically, things start off with Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy defending some place. I don't remember what the heck that place was or whatever. And he's just sitting up on the tree and I'm just waiting for someone to tell me they need my help. And to me, that whole opening scene was fantastic. But basically, it's just Thor trying to save the world again, and with the help of Mighty Thor and Valkyrie, basically. And just their goal is Gorr the God Butcher is coming to take over and kill all the gods, and they're trying to stop him. And he just uses shadows to kill people and
Paul.
take babies and kids.
I have a question for you guys. Have we ever, under any circumstances, had any indication that either Stormbreaker or Mjolnir had some sort of sentience to them?
Yes, and I'll tell you when. In the very first Thor, when Odin whispers to it.
See, I thought that was just Odin using his own power to infuse it with like their alien magic type
whoever
thing.
shall hold this shall possess the power of
Like,
Thor.
obviously there was some sort of sentience to Mjolnir, but just in terms of that specific spell.
Yeah.
Like, just like how anybody can grab Stormbreaker because that enchantment's not on it.
I thought the hammer pulls you off.
Yeah. He did actually ride Stormbreaker, which was the
He
funniest
did like
thing.
a witch.
Yeah. But I was very, like,
right.
it was a good visual gag every once in a while, but then it got to, like, a point I was like,
Yeah,
it's getting
where
a little weird.
All of a sudden,
Yeah.
Stormbreaker like comes into the frame. Like, what are you doing, Thor? Like,
Yeah.
I kind of like
It was a little, because it was so much of something that we haven't seen before,
Yeah.
and we're 4 Thor movies and so many
Yeah.
Avengers movies that this was never a thing.
I think it was just done based on the fact that it's like the X girl, the X weapon,
I get the story-
no new girl, but like the new weapon. So there's that jealousy factor.
I
and
get the
everything,
story
but-
parallels, I really
Yes.
do. And it's funny when he does pick up Mjolnir, he's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
But like, it was like so much.
Yeah.
So this story also then reintroduces a fan favorite from a while ago, Jane Foster.
Yeah.
So how?
Fan favorite's a very
Well,
strong phrasing.
All right, I'll temper that. A sometimes looked upon favorably, Jane Foster.
Natalie Portman, I love Natalie Portman. I'll watch a lot of Natalie Portman stuff. Obviously Star Wars is the big her real start in Hollywood. You know, she did other things, but Star Wars was what, like,
Black Swan?
really Black Swan.
Right.
Closer is another
V
great
for
one.
Vendetta.
V
Yeah.
for Vendetta, like all great stuff. she's good in the first movie. Then in the second movie, I can't. I think that's just Thor Thor: The Dark World, though, because it's just such a bad movie.
Yeah.
Well, the part of the problem, she was also in a very bad mood on that movie too.
Yeah, because Patty Jenkins was
right.
supposed to direct it.
Yeah, and she didn't, and she and Patty Jenkins had collaborated, and then all her ideas went out the window. So that's why she didn't return, and Taika Waititi was able to get her back for this.
Yeah.
So Jane Foster is back in the picture. Tell us a little bit about where Jane Foster is in this story.
This is gonna be dark. A hospital bed.
Yeah. She is. She has She has stage 4 cancer.
Ballsy that they actually did it.
Yeah. And so she is looking for her way out and her way to sort of heal herself. And she's tried all sorts of things. She's tried chemo and nothing seems to be working. So she then goes to Mjolnir and she hopes that could cure her. And that then reintroduces her to Thor, who is in Asgard being attacked by all of these shadow monsters, by Gorr the God Butcher. And we're off with the plot line.
We're off to see the wizard.
So what do we think about this Jane Foster, Ronnie?
I liked her better than the other two. I mean, what I really liked too was the fact that the difference you see when she's Jane Foster and Mighty Thor is so drastic. It's like, well done that she looks like how, like somebody with stage 4 cancer should look like. And then, when she's Mighty Thor, she looks great. I mean, all muscle and everything like that. Her character was there. She had a nice story with this. It wasn't just, I'm the love interest. It's, I'm the love interest, but I'm also here to kick some butt, and she kicks butt in this movie.
She was not I agree with you. I like that she was not defined by the romance in this story.
And not the damsel in distress or anything like that. At first with the cancer, it's kind of in a way, but
she doesn't need Thor to save her.
Exactly.
In fact, it's just the opposite.
Yes.
She's the one that saves him.
Yep.
Paul, thoughts about Jane Foster?
I thought it was very ballsy that they actually did the cancer storyline, which is from the comics.
Is it?
It is. A lot of times with stuff like that, the studio tends to hold back. And this was the first. This Marvel movie actually had some stakes to it. Yeah. Like, I was kind of surprised. There are a lot of fake out deaths in this movie. Like, a lot of fake out deaths.
Yeah, I even saw an article running around that said, like, Marvel needs to knock it off with the fake out deaths because they do it way too much.
It makes sense with a Thor movie just because we're so used to Loki. But, like, there was a lot of fake out.
And they even made that joke in there about Loki dying 3 times,
which was very
and
funny.
then Loki died again,
but
he lost him again.
Lady Thor, or Mighty Thor, excuse me. I think physically she had the look, she had the whole package to that. I like seeing the montage of them after the Dark World, in between that and Ragnarok.
Yeah,
because
you talking about the romance?
Yeah, like because they actually do at the end of Ragnarok, they get together. Or excuse me, at the end of the Dark World, they get together in the mid-credit scene. Yeah. Like he comes back for her, and
tell our listeners what that montage is about.
It is them being an actual couple, which was it was a very normal relationship in a superhero type world, which was nice to see. Like that, you see them in their early honeymoon stage, where they're happy and they're watching movies. It's great when they're watching the scary movie and he picks up the hammer. But like you see all that, and then you start to see, he's a superhero doing because we don't know what happens with Thor between the Dark World and Ragnarok. We know that at the beginning of Ragnarok, he's going around like trying to like bring some semblance of control to the 9 realms, but obviously there was a big time jump. And most people are saying that Jane Foster actually got blipped because she says, what has it been, 3 years? And he's like 8.
Oh, right. Oh,
so there's a theory that she actually got blipped, which they don't even address. Yeah. But it's nice to see what happened with them instead of just the sorry Jane dumped you. I dumped her. It was a mutual dumping.
I think it's actually one of the few times, other than I can think of, like with Peter Quill and Gamora, that we actually have a romance in the MCU. Those are few and far between.
Yeah. At least not a creepy one like Steve and Little Carter. Sharon Carter.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely see like Steve and Peggy.
I'd also argue Pepper and Tony. Like they had one of the most tumultuous relationships.
But we don't ever see them like being romantic and lovey.
A little bit.
Yeah,
like a little bit.
It's nice that we actually saw a kiss, and it was an earned kiss in this one too.
Fun fact, speaking about kissing, for this movie, behind the scenes, fun fact from the fanny pack. Ooh. Apparently Natalie Portman is vegan. So anytime that her and Chris Hemsworth were going to do a kiss, he actually abstained from eating meat the day of, out of respect to her, which I thought was a nice thing, especially with all the protein that guy needs.
Oh my God.
Chris Pratt even said, he's like, and Chris Pratt's not a schlub by any. He got into great shape for the first Guardians, and he's kind of stayed that way.
He looked really thin.
Very thin.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. He looked really fit and healthy.
Yeah. And even he went on record in a lot of the interviews going, everybody says that Chris Hemsworth is just like a specimen to look at, and he works hard.
I heard Christian Bale said that he didn't even want to try and compete with that. He just said, I'm just doing me.
I'm just wondering how his wife liked that kiss. Because his wife was on set. His wife was the wolf woman.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So in the Thor Dark World's post-credit scene, it's actually his wife that he's kissing on the balcony, not Natalie Portman. Yeah.
Wonder how she took that kiss.
So, and like we said, we've got Christian Bale doing Gorr the God Butcher, which we kind of commented on that already. It's nice to see like real chops coming to a bad guy. I did feel though that he, like Hela, was not given enough. Like he had one, like the scene in the Shadow Realm where he's, what the plot goes is that, Thor then takes, Gorr comes in, it steals all the children from Asgard. Thor is trying to put a team together, and when they chase Gorr to the Shadow Realm, he fights them there, and Gorr gets some monologuing there. And I thought that was like really great, but there were so many action scenes with Gorr where there was just no talking from Gorr, and I would have liked to have seen
I feel like there's stuff cut out from him.
One of the creepiest and I guess you could say scariest parts of the movie is when he's in the cage with the kids.
It is like
and he's like
spine tickling.
Yeah. That to me, I sat there and I was like, Mommy.
Yeah. There were some real terrifying moments. Like actually when Gorr is attacking Asgard and the shadows just start coming out, that was very, very creepy. Then it was really weird, really creepy, really scary, and then they just cut to all of a sudden the monsters coming out, which I was like, oh, I thought they could have taken it a little further with the creep factor.
The one real thing that they definitely dropped the ball on with Gorr in the I don't know if you're familiar with him in the comics, but he actually has symbiote powers. The sword is created by Null, the first of the symbiotes, and the Necrosword kind of gives. It's made. I'm reading this. The blade was forged by Null, the first of the Clintar species, which is what the actual name is for the symbiotes, using the head of a slain Celestial. So it's a very powerful weapon, but it is used in a symbiote way. I would have loved if they had done something with the Venom symbiote that's still lurking around the MCU in this, or like they do it. The shadows are symbiotes, like that's what their kind of work around it. That's probably because that's what it makes sense. But it would have been a great way to introduce the symbiotes, because I don't know what the legal logistics of that are per se. Because I know that they just use the word mutation in Ms. Marvel,
which we're going to talk about next week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Oh, next week's The Boys?
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, that's one teeny tiny, and also obviously the fact that. What are the odds that he just needed to walk 15 feet to his left to find a god oasis after literally 4 minutes after his daughter died?
Yeah. I've got questions about Gorr also. Like, here's a question for you guys.
7.
Does his wish with the infinity always... Okay. Eternity. Okay. So the story goes is that Gorr is trying to get his way to eternity because he wants to take revenge on all the gods and kill them all. And we assume that he is working his way to eternity because when you get there, you get one wish, and it's please kill all the gods. Was it? Or was that a bait and switch? Or did he change his heart at the end and want his daughter back?
Thor managed to convince him to change the way, and also the sword was gone too, so the influence, you could see him starting to turn. He turned back to his normal form. Yeah. So I think that's not something that was
the sword that wanted the gods dead. It wasn't Gorr.
Because one of the last scenes has them at the Eternity. Is that it?
Yes.
At the Eternity, and they're in
Infinity's his twin sister. Fun fact.
Oh, and they're in this like watery place. And I have to say, for the entirety of that scene, I'm like, I don't know what's happening here. Like, who's thinking what? Where are they going? What do they want?
Second reference to eternity in the MCU. First one, ready? Yeah. Deep cut. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yep.
In the scene where Ego takes control of Peter Quill, Peter's eyes, galaxy kind of glaze over, and he asks what he sees, and he says eternity. And that's what eternity looks like. Basically like a galaxy silhouetted. Very cool. It looked great. Eternity looked fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The visuals are, I think we can all agree, the visuals were, fantastic. And which, that's something we're going to discuss in 2 weeks when we talk about Ms. Marvel, which is just the complete opposite of
so I follow a page on Facebook called Science Bros.
Okay.
Because, like the Science Bros, Dr. Banner and Tony Stark.
Okay.
That's what they named it after. But they posted a picture of Heimdall's son floating, and he's like, and it looks so choppy, and they're like, this is a $200 million budget movie, and it just looks rough.
Yeah. All right, so let's go on. Now let's talk about our other two members of the team, and that is Valkyrie, as played by Tessa Thompson.
Fantastic job again.
All right, well, and that was going to be my question. Do you feel that she was given enough to do and a good role in this film, Ronnie?
I do.
Okay.
Because she is a side character. I would love to see a Valkyrie movie. I would kill to see that. Yes, I would.
Please don't kill anybody.
But I think she had enough to do. She's there as a support, right? She is now the king of Asgard.
Right, King Valkyrie.
Yes, King Valkyrie. So she's got her kingly duty, and she plays a king very well because to me, a king should be on the front lines like she was, because she also is obviously a warrior at heart. So I don't know. I absolutely love Tessa Thompson, and in these movies, and Valkyrie is such a badass. I would probably rather be like her than Thor.
Okay, Paul?
I think she made sense. Like there was at no point were we like wondering what she was doing or why she was doing it. Like she was bored. Like she's
a warrior.
She never really wanted to be queen of Asgard. She just wanted somebody, or king of Asgard. Yeah. She just wanted somebody to take the role, and Thor just kind of gave it to her.
Yeah.
Like he's like, you're the real leader, and it almost like a cop out because instead of taking responsibility for himself. But I think that she's fun in this. She has great scenes with Korg, which was unexpected.
Yeah, they had good chemistry.
Well, it's same with the Hulk. Like she has great scenes with the Hulk in Ragnarok.
I wonder how much that is Waititi. Did you see the Men in Black with Hemsworth and her?
No.
It's terrible.
I've heard.
And the two of them have zero chemistry in that film. And so I wonder if that comes down to director as to what can guide her properly, because she was not very good in the Men in Black movie.
That's also script too. Like apparently it was atrocious.
I was just reading this because in the movie here she's got a lot of interesting wardrobe choices.
Yeah, like vintage, like prints and stuff.
Yeah, there's a Phantom of the Opera, there's a basketball, and I'm seeing here that she was interviewing with Vanity Fair. And they have what's called the Notes on a Scene series, which if you get a chance to watch them, they're fantastic videos on YouTube. I've seen a number of them where they break down like a certain scene and how their choices dictated the way it came out. And it says here that those wardrobe choices came from Jen Robinson, who wrote on the film, and she was wearing a lot of these things when you met her. And then they were talking about it. Was Valkyrie a basketball fan? Is she into musical theater? What is she interested in? And then they kind of developed her character a little bit from there.
That's funny.
But yeah, I think Valkyrie, I was a little worried that she was just going to be like the depressed, sort of sometimes alcoholic,
like we first saw her.
Yeah.
They still play a little nod to it.
A little bit, but I'm glad they
Korg
took
breaks
it
her
further.
down completely.
So let's talk about Korg,
please, because he is the best thing to come out of a Marvel movie.
I thought you were going to say the best thing to come out of best thing to come out of a volcano.
Yeah, that too.
And we find out that I guess is there sexuality amongst Korg beasts?
I think
they're all I know.
They're an all-male race.
They're an all-male race? Okay.
I do love his god sitting on the scissors.
Because rock beats scissors.
Rock beats scissors, yes.
Okay, I didn't understand that until you just explained that.
I saw that and went, yes, that's
What's
awesome.
his god's name? Like Hey Nani?
Something like
Something,
that.
Yeah.
And he's sitting on a throne of scissors.
Yep, because rock beats scissors.
So tell me a little bit about Korg, Ronnie.
Korg is
made of rocks.
And Korg is to me, he is what we would all be in that world. Obviously, just not made out of rocks. I do love that he finally finds his partner named Dwayne, which was also another great thing.
Who's well mustachioed.
Yes,
I might add. All right, Paul.
Oh, continuity error.
What'd you find?
You brought up the revolution. Korg specifically says, my mom and her boyfriend, who I hate.
Okay, so what's the continuity error then?
They established that it's a male reproductive system, two men creating.
Okay, so that means there are.
Well, I guess
there are moms.
I wonder
if
it's
Korg the mom then of little Korg.
Well, I wonder if it's one of those like.
Remember, mom doesn't have to necessarily be tied to gender.
I know, but I now have follow-up questions that I didn't know I would ever need to know.
I wonder if it's something like you have male and male, and you're trying to create something strong. Because generally speaking, males are stronger. right? I think everyone
You
can
mean
kind
physicality?
Yes,
Okay.
right? So I wonder if it's one of those in their world or whatever, it's male and male hold hands to create the kids, but you still have a mom, like a husband and a wife, but it's just two.
Well,
Who
two
would have
guys
ever
make it.
thought we'd want to know more about this strange
right?
rock creature
sexuality.
world?
I will say, and I think we all know this too, that Taika Waititi introduces a lot of gender fluid characters into his work. I don't know if you guys have seen it, and if you on listening haven't seen this, I highly recommend this. It's on HBO. It's called Our Flag Means Death. It stars Taika Waititi as Blackbeard, and it's actually a true story too. The whole thing about this Stephen Bonnet, who just one day he's a wealthy guy with a family who just all of a sudden one day decides to give it up, buy a ship, and become a pirate.
Sounds about right.
And he meets Blackbeard, and in the show, the two of them fall in love. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's very funny. But Taika Waititi likes a lot of his gender fluid characters, and he's even made statements to say there should be more gender fluidity in film to the point where no one even thinks about it anymore.
Yeah.
So now I guess that's where we are with Korg.
Yeah, but
We also learned that Korg can regrow himself quite easily.
yes,
I think Korg learned that too.
yep, that, and also he knows how to summon goats.
After several failed whistle
All you
tries,
got
yes.
to do is whistle.
But it was nice to see Korg as a part of the team and not just a side funny
Yes,
character.
and he can kick some butt. What was it called? What's the heck the place that they go to with all the gods?
God, please.
Olympus.
It's not Olympus.
No, it's not
Olympus,
Olympus.
And that's what we're
It's
going to
at-
talk about next anyway.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Omnipotent.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. So after they get the team together, they realize they need to get more people on this team. So they go to omnipotent or omnipotent?
Omnipotent.
Omnipotent?
Omnipotence, because it made me think of, oh my gosh.
Sure would be nice if there were some Avengers or something.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, no one.
I can't think. Oh, wow.
Maybe they could send him an email.
Oh, it made me think of
electronic
nepotence.
mail. What?
Nepotence?
Nepotence? Oh, okay. Nepotism.
Yes.
Okay, so they have to go to Omnipotence, which is apparently the meeting place for all the gods.
And where they hold the annual orgy.
Yes, as indicated by Zeus. So then we've got Russell Crowe playing Zeus. Now, I read that Russell Crowe recorded two totally different accents for this Zeus. I would love to hear the other one.
I hope it was better because I could not tell what it was. It sounded Italian at one point. It sounded like trying to be Greek.
It did sound Greek to me just because I grew up hearing that my whole life. But I think he was trying for Greek more than anything. How did we feel about Zeus, Paul?
He can flick off Thor's clothes anytime.
Yeah.
Thor butt.
Yes. Hashtag Thorbutt.
Yep. I had no problem with him. He made sense. Again, it depends. Most of the time in mythology, Zeus is a terrible, terrible being. Most of the gods tend to be. And Zeus was a man whore. The amount of women that Zeus tricked into relations or just had his way with is shocking. Like, you read any old mythology and everybody was just really horny. And the gods would literally sleep with anything.
Zeus would come down as a swan and just rape people as a swan.
Yeah.
Like even Fenrir, the wolf.
Yeah.
Like that's Loki's kid in the mythology. Like there's some weird stuff in mythology because it was used to explain the things that we couldn't explain as early civilizations. So Zeus, he made sense. King of the gods, one of the most revered gods of all time, one of the most powerful gods of all time. So the fact that he was just like dad bod surrounded by, I did like how he was surrounded by like attractive men and women. Like he was just like, this is the party. Like we're all safe here. I would have liked to see a little bit more of, again, I feel like there's a lot more of that world that we should have explored. And
I feel like we will.
I would have loved to see cameos from some bigger Marvel. Like they show a lot of the deities, like actual gods and goddesses.
Yeah, did you see the one from the Eternals?
Yep.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see that would have been a great time to show Galactus.
I was waiting for Galactus.
That would have they could have done it.
Yeah.
I think it would have taken away from, because that's the problem with the Marvel movies. When it's a solo movie, they try and focus more on that solo character in their world. And in the case of Thor, obviously it's gods.
Yeah.
But again, I dug Zeus for the one scene that he's in.
Yeah. Ronnie would two. That the credits.
Yeah.
Which I thought was odd. Well, first of all, that he could throw a lightning bolt through Zeus, and then second, that Zeus was so like dainty.
I'm fine.
I think it might have just been one of those, like, I'm retired because I'm in omnipotence where I'm safe. I don't have to worry about protection or anything like that. And now I'm just going to be a complete dick like I want to be.
All the women he's with, he probably should worry about protection.
Ronnie, what do you think about Zeus?
I liked him. I wish there was more to him. Like we got to see more of him. But I did like how he was like, I'm this mighty Zeus, and then when he comes down to talk to Thor, he's like, I'm actually really scared right now, so can we keep this between us, And then he's like, I'm Zeus, look at me go. Again, just wish there was more with him, which I feel like there was supposed to be, and I think we will get more, maybe not necessarily of him, but at least of Omnipotent City.
Okay, so they go to Omnipotent City. They are trying to bring some people onto their cause, and they aren't able to. But they do get Zeus's thunderbolt, and they get to run off with that. And then
lightning bolt.
No,
Thunder is sound.
No, Zeus says it's a thunderbolt.
Oh, doesn't he correct him?
Yes.
Yeah, right. He does say it's a
Thor
thunderbolt.
says lightning bolt, and he goes, it's a thunderbolt.
Oh, that's right. All right,
Yes.
so it is a thunderbolt. So he gets the thunderbolt, and then they go and they meet Gorr the God Butcher in the Shadow Realm. They fight there. They are defeated because, of course, that's the second act, so you can't win in the second act.
But.
And then we head
Unless
back.
it's Miss Marvel. And they win in the 5th episode.
Spoilers for Miss Marvel.
Mild.
And then they have to withdraw. And now we're talking about character arcs. So who do you think has some of this? Who's got the strongest character arc here?
The goats.
So let's real quick talk about the goats since you bring it up. Tell us about the goats, Ronnie.
All right. When the ghosts first came on, I was like, this is the most annoying thing ever. This better be the only time we hear and see these goats. However,
we did not.
The comedic timing of these goats was actually spot on. I thought I was going to be annoyed every time I heard it. No, I was not. It was amazing. It was great. I am happy that we had the goats.
Watching
I will say that.
Nebula trying to shoot
the
goats. Goats.
They were there.
I read that Waititi gifted the goats to James Gunn, and James Gunn is now required to incorporate them in Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
I don't know how Thor took the.
That's the rule. Is if you gift it to the director has to incorporate it.
Interesting.
So we will see that the goats will return. So then we go off in our third act. So then in our third act, we start seeing our arcs. So who do we feel has the best character arc, or what was the most impactful character arc for you?
I don't even know.
I don't really watch these movies I don't watch Thor movies for the character
I should say
arcs.
then, who do you felt grew the most by the end?
Thor's hair.
It didn't. It was static.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It grew back.
I mean, I guess you can argue Thor just because at the end of it he accepts, Jane.
Yeah.
Making her sacrifice. I can't say Jane Foster because, in all honesty, because we haven't seen her in so long, it's hard. And I hate to say it. I'm trying to word this the right way. Her story makes sense, but it's not so much an arc. It's just her coming to the conclusion of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Ronnie.
I might have to agree with Paul. It might have to be Thor because no one else really had a story.
Yeah.
He was the only one that had a story. He was in a bad place. We don't really see his character arc because they wipe over it with him going from dad bod to god bod. Like if we would have seen that, there would have been some character building in this, but there really wasn't. I mean, I'm trying.
Well, don't forget then, but at the end, because they after they face down Gorr the God Butcher at the end, Gorr the God Butcher asks for his kid back, and then Gorr the God Butcher dies. Why?
They said that the Necrosword was killing him anyway.
Oh, they did. Okay,
Yeah,
I missed
they
that.
mentioned that.
Yeah, it was killing him / keeping him alive because I think he was supposed to die anyway.
And so then Gorr the God Butcher asks Thor to sort of raise the kid as his own, and I think that shows tremendous growth too, because now he's and
we had foreshadowing with that too.
Go ahead. I was just going to say that.
Where?
Go ahead.
When Valkyrie and Korg were talking, Jane and him getting together. You think they're going to have Thor babies?
Okay, I was going to go even further back and say it was foreshadowed when Peter Quill was talking about staring into the eyes of the one that you love, and this is now his new and that's what gives his life meaning, is this child that he's raising,
Apparently named Love.
Is that the child's name?
Supposedly.
Okay, and you said it was being played by
His
Hemsworth daughter?
Yeah.
Okay. I saw Hemsworth kids are in this a lot. Like one of the running Thors was one of his kids.
Yeah.
And yeah. So that's nice they're incorporating that.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think we're all in agreement that Thor's got the biggest. Would you say that Gorr the God Butcher has an arc?
No.
He has motivation.
Motivation. Okay.
To me, he doesn't have a character arc because it's a different character than who we see at the beginning of the movie. At the beginning of the movie, do we even know what his name is at the beginning?
He says Gorr.
His name is Gorr?
His name actually is
Okay.
Gorr, yeah.
You know, so you have Gorr, but then when he has the necro sword, then he becomes Gorr the God Butcher. And that's just something taking over his mind. So in reality, Gorr always wanted his daughter, while the sword / symbiote wanted the gods to be dead. So I wouldn't necessarily say there's a character arc. It's almost like saying, you know, Carnage and, you know, Woody Harrelson's character had a character arc. You know?
True. Good point. So, disappointments with this film.
I feel like there is more that we didn't get to see.
All right.
And there's a lot on the cutting room floor that we didn't get to see. There are a lot of characters that I would have loved to see. We're still waiting for my Beta Ray cameo.
I know.
Still patiently waiting for Beta Ray Bill. And
What does Beta Ray Bill wield?
Stormbreaker.
He does. Okay. I
In the
thought so.
comics, he has his own hammer called Stormbreaker, which is why when they introduced it, they were like, "Oh, maybe we'll see." And Beta Ray Bill, you see a statue of him in Ragnarok. He's on the tower,
And we've even seen Throg.
yeah, we've seen. Just disappointments. I would have liked to see more of the God world and more of the question of same question that we had in Eternals. Why aren't you doing anything? Like, if they just say we don't have to anymore, they don't worship us anymore. Cool. All right, I'm done. But like the fact that they're like, no, we protect our own. I'm like, half of Greece probably got blipped out.
Yeah.
Like, do something. I'd like to see more of a. I'd even like to see like a Battle of the Gods type movie,
Oh,
where
yeah.
like a God Civil War with
Battle of
Thor in it.
Olympus?
I'd love to
be
see
cool.
it. That'd be really cool.
My complaint was, and I said this in my opening 3 words, the predictability. I could kind of see the same beats for every movie. That here's a bad guy that didn't exist before. Here's his motivation. Like, and it was such a simple plot too. Like, it was just he kidnaps the kids to lure them to this place so he can get his wish. Yeah. Like, and it had the same beats. I could tell. I knew where things were going. It was completely predictable. I knew what was how people were going to end up. I kind of guessed that they were going to kill off, quote unquote, kill off Jane Foster at the end there. We don't know if she's in Valhalla. That's all we know. And if that's a place you can return from, we're not sure. They showed her, so I would think they could.
Yeah, it's got to be something going on there with her. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think because at this point, don't you think they would have gotten Heimdall back from Valhalla then? You know, because now you just reintroduced him.
And Lady Sif's arm.
Yep, Lady Sif's arm. Yep.
But I just felt like there's a tremendous amount of creativity on display in this film. Like, the visuals are fantastic. There's so many interesting characters. But plot-wise, I thought it was just very kind of ordinary. Ronnie?
Kind of like a little bit of what both of you said. You know, like at times it was predictable and everything. You know, again, just seeing a little bit more, like I said earlier, a little bit more of Guardians of the Galaxy would have been nice. You know, because it made it seem like Thor and Guardians of the Galaxy was like this huge team up and everything that we were going to see a lot of. Maybe we will in the new Guardians movie, possibly.
The holiday special first.
Yeah, well, that first, you know. So I guess we're going back in time to watch the Guardians of the Galaxy and the
Just for the I Am
Christmas
Groot
special?
for the I Am Groot.
Yeah, I
thing,
don't even know
Yeah.
where I Am Groot is in terms of continuity.
Yeah, I don't know. So the goats to me also kind of seem like a new Groot.
That makes sense.
You know, you're trying to get a new thing in there with the goats, which again, the goats were funny in this movie. We don't need to see them again, though. You know,
there were a couple moments where I'm like, okay, they're just playing the hits here. Like when they did the play again with Matt Damon and everything, and they added some new things to it. And it's like, okay, I felt they sometimes relied too much on nostalgia. Paul?
This movie was Thor: The Dark World with Taika Waititi's style.
yeah.
Okay.
This was almost the exact same plot.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It is literally like beat for beat, same thing. The reason Hela was such a good villain is because she kicks Thor and Loki's ass in her first 4 minutes of appearance.
Yeah.
Like, she shatters Mjolnir, she beats the crap out of them. They run away, and they still, like, they're licking their wounds. Gorr, while he was tough, at no point did I think he was going to beat Thor.
Yeah, same here.
And they never make any sort of indication that he's capable of it.
Also, is it me or did it seem like Thor kind of got powered down?
That's the problem. After Ragnarok, they really nerfed Thor.
Yeah.
Like, the whole point of Ragnarok was Thor coming to the realization is, are you Thor, god of hammers? No, like, you're like, and he's like at peak Thor.
Yeah.
And then Infinity War starts off, I need an axe.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I have a question, and I think we're all going to have the same answers.
14.
Rank your Thors. So there's 4 of them.
I'll go first.
I'm Thor. I don't think I can.
I'll go
Thor,
first.
don't be a Thor loser.
Ragnarok, this one, the original, and then Dark World.
I'm going to agree with that.
1000%.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, and I even saw a list online which ranked it exactly the
Exactly.
same.
Yeah.
1000%.
Which,
If
again-
anyone wants to argue anything, no, you cannot. I'm sorry, you can't
That's definitive.
like Ragnarok is like obviously like on a different level than the other 3. You know, to me, this is maybe half a step to a step higher than the first one, and then we all know Dark World is
Trash.
underneath the basement.
I felt like also on a similar note that they were trying to replay the hits here with Guns N' Roses the way they did with Zeppelin in Ragnarok.
And they did it better in Ragnarok.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
It was great.
And you were even saying,
Yes.
you're like, this was the best soundtrack ever, because they did cover, I believe, four Guns N' Roses songs in there. But yeah, it's still. So let's get into our ratings. Star City rating. Let's start with
Sean's?
Sean.
Sean gives this movie a 3 out of 5.
Okay, but
Yes.
no explanation.
No explanation.
All
He
right.
just said 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
so.
Thank you, Sean. Paul.
3.5 out of 5. It is thoroughly enjoyable. It is, again, it doesn't blow me. It didn't blow me away like Ragnarok did, because I think Ragnarok I gave like a 4 or 4.5 even. But this one, it's good. I enjoyed it, and like I'd see it again. Obviously, producer Mel was not able to join us, so I'm sure she's gonna want to see it at some point. I'll still say it's better than Multiverse of Madness and stuff like that.
Yes.
But I dug it. 3.5.
Probably only need to wait like 35 days before it comes
Something
on
like that,
Disney
yeah.
Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree 3.5. This is definitely a movie that I would watch again. No questions asked. Jacqueline wants to go see it. All right, let's go see it. Like I know she did, but she didn't come with us. But it's definitely a movie that I can sit down and watch. It's not a movie that I could just throw on and do other stuff. Like I would want to watch this movie from start to finish again. The visuals of it was amazing, especially when they're on the Shadow Realm and everything like that, and with all the kids when he gives them the temporary power of Thor. I thought that whole thing was great, especially with the bunny with the laser eyes or lightning eyes, I should say.
And we should say for the listeners, Shadow Realm, they do that it's like a 10 or 15 minute section entirely in black and white.
Yes.
Which was really visually stunning.
Yeah. It was amazing the way this was shot. Big props to Waititi for what he did with this movie. There are some things that leave us questioning about certain things and everything, with the movie and characters and things that just don't kind of make sense really. But overall, great job.
I will agree with both of you on that 3.5. It was good. I enjoyed it. I had a nice time. If it came back on again, I would watch it. Having just rewatched Ragnarok last week, I still, when I watch that, laugh out loud every time at the same spots. Yep. It is such a well-made, tight movie in terms of its pacing. The characters' work is fantastic. The visuals are just stunning. And this one didn't quite have that same level of all of those things, but it was still good.
Yeah.
Do you feel that Phase 4 is still at the same point in your brains now that it has been, where it's just like, I don't know where we're going?
I don't know where we're going.
I have no idea where we're going. However, this is by far the best thing to come out of Phase 4, and hopefully, things stay with this. Like I hope this is where everyone takes their stuff from, because nothing else really seemed connected to the MCU at all. This movie, it had connections. You had Hela and all that. The only thing like that really was missing was like any mention, I guess really just Jane Foster about the blip. Like, it would have been cool to be like, did you get blipped during those 5 years, like kind of things, but.
Or even just a mention of an Avenger.
Yeah.
We need to create an army to go fight Gorr.
This is the complete opposite of Ms. Marvel, where she does nothing but talk about all the other Avengers.
Like, he didn't even he should have been like, well, what about Captain Marvel?
Yeah.
So what about Spider-Man, whose name escapes me at this time? Like, they could have had
there's
some.
so many other people.
It's
It's a thing. I did notice in the opening Marvel credit that Moon Knight was in there.
No, yeah, they added him in.
Yeah.
Same with Miss Marvel.
Oh, is she in there too?
No, in Miss Marvel you can see him.
Oh, you
there.
can see Moon Knight. So I guess he's
Probably waiting until.
Well, fun fact: Moon Knight can lift Mjolnir.
Well, how do you know that? From the comics?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah, because
It was in the show. You didn't see that?
you didn't see that one scene.
I must have missed that.
Because,
I nodded off.
Because the material that Mjolnir is made out of is from the moon. It's from like a dying moon, forged in a dying star.
Yeah, that's
so with Khonshu's help, he's able to lift it.
All right. Very cool. So thank you very much for that. And now we will do some fan feedback Friday, which Paul is bringing up now. So this fan feedback Friday this week, we asked, and I guess we should do cinematic also, since this is going for both.
I was not prepared.
What a surprise. I didn't know he was going to bring up fan feedback Friday.
Surprise.
He's glaring at me.
Because I can just turn off the recording. Thank you guys for listening.
So for fan feedback Friday, we asked...
You are Apocalypse. Create your own 4 horsemen from any universe.
I am right now going to say Korg, Valkyrie, Thor, and Jane Foster.
Really, just from Thor? Or like from across the multiverse of just entertainment.
All right, I am going to
anything?
pat myself on the back. I think I have the best.
All right, go
Let's
ahead.
see, we had Thanos with the stones, Darkseid, Black Adam, and Gilgamesh. Solid choices.
Gilgamesh, wow. That's impressive.
to me.
From your friend Karina, Thanos, General Zod, Darkseid, and Doomsday.
Ooh.
Death from Supernatural, Black Adam, Dark Superman, and Scarlet Witch from Ronnie. Solid choices.
Yeah.
Very
Thank you.
Oh, now I gotta go to Cinematic
And
Adventures.
from Cinematic Adventures, we have Ronnie whispering.
Of course he is. Let's see. For our Stranger Things fans, Vecna is coming from you. What is your song to stop him? Did you see the latest season?
Yes, I'm all caught up on
So
it.
what would be your song for Vecna?
Ooh, all right. Go ahead and answer, and I'll come up with an answer. Give me a minute.
Stop in the name of love before it breaks your heart. That's
Stop
from
in the name of love.
Yeah. Mine would probably be Carry On Wayward Son by Kansas.
AC/DC's Thunderstruck.
Good one. Solid choices. All right, that's fan feedback.
No
Friday.
Guns N' Roses?
No Guns N' Roses.
So thank you very much for joining us on Thor, Love, and Thunder. Next week, we will be covering The Boys, where we will talk about the last 4 episodes as well as a season 3 overall. And then the week after that, we're looking at the Disney Plus show, Ms. Marvel. So don't forget, you can listen to all of our shows on Podbeam, Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts, and also other listening stations. We can be found on the Facebook, on the Instagram, on the TikTok, and on the Twitter, where you can search Misfit Faction on any of those, and you'll see us. You can also check out our content on our website, themisfitfaction.com, where now you can read my entire review for Ms. Marvel before the show, so you can sort of get an idea of what you're looking forward to in that one, where I've also covered each of the episodes, so you can see the progression of that. And thank you so much for joining us. As always, I'm Rob.
I'm Ronnie.
And I'm Paul.
And we'll be back
And
In a flash.
in a flash. Smorgasbord.
see ya.